Hello and welcome to another great episode of Blackboard Rules. You better strap on your 5-point harness because we're jumping in the car and we're gonna rock it. Hit that intro, boys! Hi, Bruce here again for Blackboard Rules. Today we're going to be discussing my 5 awesome tips for you to have a better rehearsal. You're going to get more things done in probably a shorter amount of time. Anyways, let's jump right into it. Awesome tip number 1, sightlines. It's important that when you set up your rehearsal space that you have a look around and make sure that everybody, each player, each musician, can see themselves. You may think that this is kind of a funny basic thing, but really you would be surprised how many times someone will sit down to rehearse with a band and all of a sudden they realize that they're having to look around a cymbal stand or a microphone stand or even having someone block their view. So the guitar player is standing right in front of them. They are not able to see the vocalist, for example. So just take the extra few minutes, and when you sit down to rehearse or when you're preparing to rehearse, just make sure you have a quick look around the space and make sure everyone can see everybody and everything that they need to see. Point number 2, make sure everybody can hear themselves. Okay? So when you sit down to rehearse or stand up to rehearse, have a listen, do a bit of a sound check. Some of you guys may be using like a floor wedge monitor or maybe a couple of PA speakers. Some of you folks may be using IEM's, in-ear monitor system. Okay? So make sure that you can balance yourselves out. Make sure that there's no one that's too loud, overpowering the rest of you. It's important, especially in a rehearsal, that you are able to hear all the parts. And in doing so, it'll help you work your individual parts in together and to make that unified kind of sound. You know, I don't know how many of you out there have seen Spinal Tap, the movie, but this brings me to my 3rd awesome tip. Make sure that during your rehearsal, there's no distractions. Okay, you've got enough to think about when you're there, whether it be your gear and the sound and being able to see everybody or maybe even read a chart. But make sure there's nothing that's going to pull your focus away from that. In the movie Spinal Tap, the lead singer had a girlfriend who actually made herself a part of the band. And so she was there at all the rehearsals, and it was quite a distraction. And a distraction doesn't even need to be a person. It could be an object in the room. It could be your dog who happens to like roaming about the place. It could be a cell phone, right? Turn those ringers off on your phones. That way you can really focus in the time that you have on the things that you need to focus on. Awesome tip number 4 is make sure that you record, whether it be with just audio and or video, your rehearsals. When I go to rehearsal, I usually bring along this little guy here. This is a Zoom Q8 I bought a few years ago. The video on it is okay. The audio on this thing is really awesome. It captures it very well. Zoom makes a whole bunch of other types of products like this. They make a Q2 as well. Or what you can do is you can just take out this guy if you have a stand, cell phone, your smartphone, right? It's really good to make a living record of your rehearsals. You can go back after the rehearsal. You can have a look at the songs that you're working on, the music that you're working on, and it really shows you places where you need to tighten up or maybe make a change here and there. And the great thing about audio and video is it doesn't lie. So if there's one person in the band that maybe needs to work a little bit harder on their parts, it will tell you, and there's no bias to it. It's helpful for the whole band. It should never be used as a weapon. You don't want to weaponize it so you can go after anybody, but as a help to the whole band. And it will improve your rehearsals. It'll improve your performances. And here we are at the end. Awesome tip number 5 to make your rehearsals better. Make a plan for your rehearsal. Write it out on a piece of paper if you have to. Organize the time through the night, the things that you want to work on, the songs you want to work on. And before you actually start to rehearse, discuss it with your bandmates or the other musicians that you're going to be working with. And this can be as easy as taking 10 minutes right before the rehearsal and talking about it, or sending out an email with the attachment of the plan the day before the rehearsal. So everyone's got a heads up, they know what to expect, and they know what they're going to cover. And if they do want to make some changes, you guys can make those changes, but you're still organized. That way you don't get in rehearsal and you don't kind of try one song and noodle around a bit and try another song. Before you know it, 3-4 hours can fly by. The trick with rehearsals is you want to be prepared, you want to come to the rehearsal, rehearse with the other musicians, and be efficient with it. Get in and out of there in kind of the shortest amount of time as possible, or a reasonable amount of time. Anywho, thanks for joining us on the video today. If you got something out of this video, please leave a thumbs up down below. If you have a comment, leave it down below in the comment section. Also, if you're really digging some of the stuff that you're hearing me talk about, make sure that you hit that old subscribe button and then swack that bell right next to it. That way you will get notified every time we put out some new material. If you have any ideas for product reviews, things that you'd like to see us look at, or topics that you'd like to see us speak on, let us know in the comments as well, and we will try and get to those as soon as we can. Once again, I'm Bruce for Blackboard Rules, and we'll see you in the next video. So chop chop chop, we're gonna roll the outro.